that's on. We are way to go, I think. So, there we are. Happy days. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We got there in the end with all the setup. I mean, yeah, well, take it away, let us know who you are, and yeah, give a little bit of an idea of stuff you've done, stuff you do.
Neil Andrews, competitive bodybuilder, maybe ex-competitive bodybuilder, we'll soon see. Yeah, father from Swansea, originally from Talbot. Yeah, basically, from Wales. Everyone knows me on social media as Neil Andrews. Obviously been competitive now, bodybuilding for 15 years. Social media following, I've got my own coaching company, Team Granite Fitness. And yeah, basically that is me in a nutshell. Coach, bodybuilder, nutritionist, enthusiast, just everything.
How long have you been doing it for? Like, so I know you said bodybuilding for 15 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bodybuilding 15 years. Like what other kind of stuff? So obviously nutrition.
So yeah, through school I was always, my first love is Bruce Lee as a kid. I mean, martial arts, that's what kind of got me into, and even to this day, of all the idols I've had throughout life, through school, and he will always be my number one, just, for what he stood for, being a phenomenal martial artist, and just, that's what got me into kind of martial arts, karate, kickboxing. I excelled at that when I was a kid. I was beating black belts when I was like a red belt. Then I transitioned into kickboxing. I done kickboxing, and then obviously you get into school, and then different things happen, and then I obviously found Michael Jordan, massive fan of him, even to this day, like one of the most competitive, just his mindset. And I think the crazy thing is, in COVID, when they brought out the documentary on Netflix, it was the #1 documentary in the world throughout, on Netflix, and because people actually got in to see what he was about, and how his mindset and everything like that.
Yeah.
So not just being, the clothing brands. It was like I got into basketball. I was captain of a basketball team. Then I got into gymnastics. People wouldn't think me as a gymnast, but I was really, really good. And then captain of the gymnastics team, represented West Glamorgan from a county level 3 times. And then, yeah, I always obsessed with muscles, as far back as I can remember. Incredible Hulk and just Arnold Schwarzenegger, same old, cliche, but, I had a big Arnold Schwarzenegger commando poster above my bed when I was a kid, and got into, then I was powerlifting, got into powerlifting because I was always naturally strong, done a bit of powerlifting, and then I just thought, I'm going to have a crack at bodybuilding. So went into bodybuilding as a natural competitor in the BNBF. Just thought, I'm going to train for a year, I'm going to do a show the following year. Funny enough, James Wallace, KGB from Warehouse, kickboxing. He actually let me with my first prep, James, because James actually was a bodybuilder back then, and trained for a year, done a show, just rocked up down in Devon to the show, nobody knew me, and then won my class, first class, and then nearly won the overall, the whole show. And then I'd done 3 or 4 shows. I think my last natural show was 2008. I had a bit of a bad decision back in 2008, when I think I should have won, but I got beat by another Swansea boy, Nick Jones, who was phenomenal and rightly deserved. So then I transitioned then over into the UKBFF, which is a much bigger federation, and then I competed through the UKBFF, the PCA, multiple federations, NABA. There's so many feds now, so that's how it just sort of put me on my competitive route. Yeah. Then obviously started getting into coaching, and then obviously with my love of I just thrive information. Not just that, when you're a bodybuilder and you're competitive, when you look at your own physique, you're always trying to think, well, how can I make, not just how can I get stronger in the gym, how can I be healthier, how can I, implement things through supplementation, diet to grow, be healthy, and that kind of got me, and a person like me who thrives information on all spectrums. Like, I mean, if I watch a film and it's a true story, I'll have to go and read about it. If somebody asked me a question on my daughter and I didn't know the answer, I'd have to go and find out. And that kind of stays in me then. So I've got so much useless information in my head, and I shouldn't even really know, but I do. And that kind of got me into coaching then. And then just the love of working with people, and for me, improving people's lives not from a competitive standpoint. I got respect for people who get up on stage and go through that process, but for me, I get more kind of motivation of lifestyle clients.
Yeah.
You know, I've got clients who, you know, morbidly obese come to me, they're 21 stone, 22 stone, you know, and bringing them down, bringing their BMI down, and that's just, no, not just improving their quality of life, it's prolonging their life.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I get more, you know, I get more like motivated by those kind of clients. You know, 6 packs are impressive, big legs are impressive, being strong is impressive, but bringing somebody and improving their quality of life, that is what impresses me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what motivates me as a coach and as a person. You know, knowing that you're, and I'm the type of person where I educate my clients as well. It ain't about just, you know, checking in once a week. You know, when they're checking in with their, you know, and measuring their stats and their measurements and their weight and redoing their diet. It's like, you know, they're asking me questions, Neil, why am I doing this? Why am I taking this supplement? And I've voice noted them in layman's terms, so they learn as well. Like, and you know, and that's why I put so much free content out there on social media. You know, so at the end of the day, they say, you know, knowledge is power. I disagree. It's applied knowledge.
Yeah.
And people say to me, why do you put so much free content out? Because, you know, should be charging for that, or there's no other coaches doing that, because in this day and age, everything's about money. You know, because I'm afraid to tell you what I'm doing in case you go and implement that, and I see you on stage, and like you might beat me. So I'm giving you ammo and things like that. But at the end of the day, you can know, I can put out all the knowledge in the world on social media, but if you can't implement it, it means nothing. So it's not knowledge is power, it's applied knowledge is power.
Do you know what? We talked about this briefly just before the podcast, didn't we? And like you said, when you're putting that information out there, you know, whether it's about health, fitness, well-being, or just whatever in general, it's like you're increasing that collective knowledge. Because if you know about something that you've read from somewhere, and then you pass it on to 10, 100 or 500 people, and then they pass it on as well, it's just that sort of network effect of collective knowledge. Where, you know, when it's specifically around health and wellness, if people don't know how to lose fat or to, you know, better their life in some ways, but then you're putting that knowledge out there and more people know about it, then everybody in theory is getting well, you know, or they have the tools and the tools to be better in the future and to create better, you know, lives for themselves. And I think that is, like you said, it's such an important thing. Once you know something, you know, the duty then really is to pass that on and to make it useful for other people.
So there's a lot of people out there, you know, accountability goes massively when you want to just get in shape, be healthy. You know, clients come to me and they know they just got to eat their diet, do their training, do their cardio. You know, it's all there bespoke for them. You know, some people don't really want to learn, don't really want to know things like that, but they just want, look, I want to get in shape, I want to be healthier. They don't know how to implement those things. Some people can read something and not even take it in. This is why probably 99% of the stuff about my story, people love to read it, but if you can't apply it or you can't take it in, you know, if they forget it by tomorrow, then what does it even mean? But for me, it's, you know, putting a motivational quote out there. How do I know that somebody's not following me and having a bad day? You know, having shit in a relationship or anything, just, you know, and then if I put a quote out there, I might just pick them up. Somebody's struggling, they might read, you know, a post from mine, and that's why I put the information out there. Is you know, that's what I'm a people person, like, and I think, you know, karma, you know, if you do good things will come back to you. It's like, you know, I won't pass a homeless person without giving them money and stuff like that. I'm not gonna put it on my social media, but I'm just that type of person. I think if you do good will come back to you.
Yeah, it's the like law of reciprocity, isn't it? You know, the more, I think the idea that you give more than you take with with no intention of having something in return, because that's a big thing, isn't it? If you're taking money for the, you know, the good that you're doing or the information that you're giving, that's fine, you know, because life is about exchange in some way and you've got to put food on the table. But yeah, if you've got more to give, like, you know, and you're putting that information out there, that free content, people are more likely to come to you anyway. And funny enough, same thing happened to me yesterday. There's somebody who does the same sort of coaching as I do. They're doing a challenge. I'm not running a challenge at the minute. That challenge could help, you know, impact positively, you know, God knows how many people. So I was sharing it on social media and stuff for that person, because I thought, well, I'm not doing a challenge, you know, so that person's doing something that's going to help other people right now, and all I've got to do is just help that message get out there so that they can, you know, potentially impact people. It might mean that they go to them instead of me, but I'd be failing at what I'm doing, you know, in terms of my values, if I was to not share that, just thinking, oh, that person might get somebody that I could have. Do you know what I mean? And I think the law of reciprocity is that, in the sense that you just give more than you take, with the idea of it just, maybe it'll come back to you at some point, but you don't expect it to.
Absolutely, yeah.
So.
And I think, fitness, just the way things are now today, do you mean social media, a lot of it is like that. You get people who, will watch my stories like it's religion, but will never like a picture. Do you mean? So it's very, people are, it depends on the person you are. People wouldn't like a picture because that's showing you, that to them it's like, is that weakness? I'm showing that, I think you look good. Well, for me, I've never been like that. I've never envied another person in my entire life. I've always tried to be the best version of me. I've never like, oh my God, I'd love to look like him, or I wish I had what he had. I've always just walked my path, do you mean, and try to be positive, and I've always tried to be a better version, even from a competitive standpoint. I never wanted to be a pro bodybuilder. Could I be a pro bodybuilder? Absolutely. I beat boys who are pros. Yeah. But for me, I know if I went down that route, it would take years off my life. I mean, and for me, it was being competitive, it was being better than the previous me. And I always did that. I always got on stage better, leaner, my competitive speaks for itself. But I think we are in that kind of society now in social media where, I will like a stranger's picture. Yeah. I will like a stranger's picture. I will randomly comment every day on a stranger's post. Just give something back, pick somebody up, put it out there and it'll come back to you. I honestly do believe that, like.
Funny enough, Tiff Sapan, obviously she's working with Ashley and Jane. She said that because you commented on her the competition post after she'd done it, and she said, "Oh yeah, fair play, you messaged me the other day saying well done and all that kind of stuff." And like that's a prime example.
Exactly,
that she's taken, she's found that. She's grateful for it, because it's obviously like that little lift up, that little recognition of the achievement,
Absolutely, like Ash was a client of mine for 3-4 years, one of my best mates. And I'll support him. And that's his first competitive client. So he reached out to me and said, "Neil, can you come down and have a look? Just, it's his first client, it means a lot to him." So I went down to the warehouse, had a look at Tiff, run it through, the protocols and things like that. Ash knows what he's doing, but it's just, that them first show nerves, like, I mean, but yeah, she got a great physique as a first timer, came top 3, which is brilliant, and she'll go on to, achieve good things in the sport.
Yeah, in fairness, in terms of her mindset, I've told her this as well, so if she's listening, Tiff, this is for you. But it's incredible to see the dedication and the level of commitment, but also like the perseverance that's gone into it, So like, even so much as having a nacho with cheese on it, she wouldn't, she's stuck
absolutely.
To the plan, 100%, no exceptions, and put it all on the table when she's gone there, and I think that's such a admirable thing to see.
It is. I would say I've done a lot of sports, and I would say it's probably the hardest discipline you could ever do, for the simple fact is you're restricting the one thing that affects so many variables, and that's what goes in your mouth. Obviously girls don't go to the extremes that men do, and even males, 99% of males who compete probably will never get to my levels. That's why I was known for my conditioning. I know I can suffer more than everyone else. I know that I can go to those dark places, and like, I can remember it back in 2016, I had to make weight because I was heavyweight. I was having my last meal at like 11 o'clock, and I was waking up 1 o'clock in the morning in agony with hunger pains. I couldn't eat anything because it would affect my weight. So I was drinking water, trying to fill my stomach up, but that went on for 3 weeks. I was in agony with hunger pains. It's until you actually go and do that process, and even boys who do compete never get, like I got a competitive client now, Lee, he's been on 0 fats and 0 carbs for 8 weeks. 8 weeks, so you've got to think of it, carbohydrates are the predominant, source of fuel for the body. If you've got low carbs, then you have to have high fats. It'll grab the energy from the fats. When you take them to the equation, what are you doing? How are you fueling your body to walk, to exist? He's training, doing 2 hours of cardio a day on top of that. He's on death's door, like, and going down that route is something that people will never fathom how hard it is. It's to the point where, I was struggling to walk some days. I can remember my daughter was like 3 years old. I couldn't even pick her out of a swing in the park. 2 weeks out of my show. So you look phenomenal. You see an extreme end of a physique, but internally, you're practically dying when you're on stage. When you get to them levels, because your body's not meant to be at 2-3% body fat. You're dehydrated. You've been in a calorie deficit aggressively for maybe 5 months. 2018, when I came second in the world, I started dieting in February, and my last show was in October. So I was lean. I mean, like, you know, you're talking maybe 5% body fat for 286 days. So, you know, I had 16 days off. I went on holidays, but as soon as I stepped off the plane, I went straight into prep.
Yeah.
And I had 8 weeks into my show. And I done back-to-back shows, but yeah, from February to November. So, like...
What's this? I wanted to ask about that. So, like, obviously you said, you know, in terms of physically, like, it's really, really demanding and probably not healthy long term for you. Like, what's the sort of mental effect that has on you? Because you're restricting food, but you're also, you know, I can imagine there's so many different thoughts going on.
Yeah,
like, do you see eating disorders develop with people after it, things like that?
Yeah, but I think that's where a good coach will come into play, because there's a lot of clients who compete. A lot of, you know, people I see compete that don't get reverse dieted on shows. You just can't go binging post-show because you've restricted your body for X amount of weeks. You know, restricted calories, your stomach has shrunk. You go binging, you know, and the thing is, what people don't realise is, you know, your fat cells never ever go.
Yeah.
The term burning fat is BS. Do you mean your fat cells shrink? So you're genetically born with your fat cells. So even if you had liposuction, you had a bad lifestyle, your fat cells will come back. But your fat cells shrink. But people don't realise when you have a high influx of calories, or you rebound through food, high amounts of, like, you know, food, one fat cell can grow back at the rate of 2.
Okay.
So 2 fat cells can grow back at the rate of 4. So this is why you always see people go through like a Weight Watchers, you know, lose a ton of weight, they go back to their old eating habits and then they're going back bigger than what they originally were, from that rebound effect. So when you're in, you know, a restricted calorie deficit like that, you have to reverse your calories and climb them back up. You're going to minimise water, you're going to minimise fat gain, especially with females, because women carry way more brown fat cells than males for childbirth reasons. So, you know, very, very different males to females. But, you know, reverse dieting out, increasing your calories is going to minimise water, minimise fat gain, you know, and it's just going to keep your insulin sensitivity, you know, a lot better. But yeah, in prep, when you're, you know, you're craving things you would never eat. I was going to IKEA, I'd be buying Swedish meatballs, and, you know, my first show, the way I was dealing with it, I was going to, like, say, buy my tuna in Tesco, and I'd buy like a pack of Mars bars, so everything I craved, I bought.
Right.
So by the time my show came around, I had about £500 worth of shit food.
Yeah.
And literally, you'd be craving everything out for like 5 months, 20 weeks through prep. I had like a bowl of Frosties, I think I had a cheese and pants pickle sandwich, and all the cravings are gone. So everything I had in my cupboards, I didn't want.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how your mindset works in that scenario. And like now, like the last couple of years, because I think when you first compete, you get over them kind of cravings. You know, I've never been one to watch food porn and stuff like that, and just looking at, I think it's just self-torture. But I was buying things that I bought a safe last year, and I was buying things I just, like a NutriBullet that I already had a blender, and just, it was like an outlet, do you mean? So, it's, you know, people are obviously react differently, but it is, and there's obviously with females, you've got to be careful with. I'll give you an example. 2015, I went to the British Championships. I was 15 stone 5 on a Sunday. I just gouged on food. By the Tuesday, I was nearly 18 stone. So this is what people don't realise. What you take off in 5 months, 20 weeks, X amount of weeks you diet, you can put back on within days.
Yeah.
So you can imagine your internal systems of stress. I had edemas where pooling in my ankles. And obviously from that, so you've got to be careful, like, you know, you can literally put weight on that quick.
So someone who's looking at losing weight now, then obviously, that's one of the things I was going to ask. So the clients you said about that or like motivate you the most because of the lifestyle changes they make, when they lose the weight, do they tend to stay with you then afterwards, or do they kind of do a program, they lose the weight, and then do they go off and do their own thing? And also, what's the sort of rate of people putting that back on? Because that's the key thing, isn't it? You say it's not just the diet, it's the lifestyle change that needs to happen.
Yeah, I think person dependent. I've had clients lose a lot of weight, disappear, come back bigger. Yeah. Do you mean? So I've seen that a couple of times, and they've done that 2 or 3 times. I've seen them come back, you know, because they need the accountability. Some people haven't got the innate, you know, thing to just do it off their own back.
Yeah.
It's like they need schooling, they need to answer to somebody, and that's where coaching, that's one of the biggest things, accountability. Like, Neil, why, I can't buy this, what can I eat this? Neil, why am I doing this? I'm there as like, the voice of reason. Not just that, I life coach my clients as well. I'm not just, about getting them in shape. You can ask any of my clients, a lot of my girls, a lot of my female clients, I've life coached them through relationship breakups, meltdowns, time of the month. I've been on holiday the other side of the world. If a client messages me and they're having a meltdown, I'll pick the phone up and ring them. People say to me, Neil, you should switch off, you need a holiday. I just can't. Because I'm that type of person where if I can just, spend 5 minutes reassuring them, motivating them, then why not? A lot of coaches don't do that, and I know they don't do that. And that's where I go above and beyond, because you have to be a people person. And like I say, just because somebody's an IFBB pro doesn't make them a pro coach. There's things going on in the industry from a coaching aspect that is unbelievable. Just no accountability, one word replies, not crap support, drug use, just, it's insane. And it's more now than ever because of the reach the social media's got.
Well, this is it, yeah. I as an outsider in that sense, I've seen there's so many different coaches and fitness professionals or fitness individuals out on social media, and a lot of them, like you said, they're just, I'm imagining anyway, a lot of them don't necessarily have qualifications in that kind of stuff, but they'll put out that fitness advice and whatever, because it's good content. It's good for building up that traction or that following on social media. And like you said, I think that's where you get a lot of misinformation then as well, isn't it? If they're, in particular, if somebody was to build a following but they don't have like a sort of a general understanding of nutrition and fitness, it can be unsafe, for people who might not have a clue. They'll follow someone, resonate with them and think, oh, well, this person, I like the content they're putting out, and they buy into it, not necessarily with money, but they'll just listen to the content and absorb it, and it could be completely fucking wrong. It could be completely,
And not just bullshit. That, just because they look like that, what you'll find is, say you've got a pro bodybuilder who's really erratic with his drug use. If he thinks that's normal or he's doing that, of course he's going to radiate that down into his clients. I've got a conscience, I've got to sleep at night. I'm never going to do anything with my clients, one, I wouldn't do it myself, or two, that's going to be detrimental to their well-being and their health. I just couldn't live with myself. Do you mean? And the industry is not regulated. There's stories of bikini girls being in hospital, on 900 calories, excessive drug use, boys having heart attacks. Do you mean? It's crazy, the industry, and it's so much misinformation out there as well now. Even just basic stuff that we know that's debunked, that doesn't work anymore. I was having this conversation today, and I've spoken many times about water loading into a show, where peak week, the week leading into a show, people will increase their water intake that week, and they could drink anything up to 12 litres of water. And if anyone knew how homeostasis works in the body, it doesn't work. And I don't care what your coach says, that is biology. It works with every single human being. Homeostasis is how your body regulates water. So what they do is they increase their water intake leading into a show. Right. So they're drinking 20 litres of water, they're expelling water. They're expelling water every day, obviously from drinking that amount. Then they cut their water in 24 hours before stage, thinking because they've been drinking water all week, and when they cut their water, the body's still going to expel. In turn, then dry out. Okay. So they get that dry condition look on stage. It doesn't work like that, because the neurophons and the cells within your body, right, keep a 70-30 balance at all times. 70-30 intracellular and extracellular, inside and outside the cell. So your body is monitoring your cells minute by minute, 24 hours a day. 70-30 balance. You were drinking 12 litres of water, it still keeps a 70-30 balance. What it does, it thinks, hang on now, I'll just dilute the urine and we'll just excrete more water. Still keeping a 70-30 balance. Then they stop the water 12 hours before stage. These things, hang on now, I still got to keep the 70-30 balance to survive. So I'm going to go pull this water now, because he's not drinking any, from the one place, the bodybuilder, you don't want it to, your muscles. Right. So I'll pull the water from the muscles to keep that 70-30 balance, and then when they're on stage, they can't get a pump. They can't get vascularity. And then, they end up looking skinny fat or flat, Do you mean? Or they spill over, and then the following day after the show, when they rehydrate and put sodium back in, they think, oh my God, why did I look at this yesterday? It's because of that. So, it's just people were doing that in the 80s, and it doesn't work. And that is how your body, regulates. It will keep a 70-30 balance, intracellular and extracellular, at all times. So water loading, one, is dangerous. And drinking, white wine or alcoholic the night before the show because it's a diuretic. It ain't going to dry you out anymore. It's just, just idiotic things like that. And that's just misinformation that's still getting used.
It's interesting because that's like, until you just said that, that's something that I had heard as well, and something I obviously, I don't know anything about what you would do pre-comp, but that is like some information that has stuck with me, so it's good to know that that's a load of shit.
Yeah, and the same as like, sodium, people, restricted sodium going into a show. Your body doesn't hold water from sodium, salt. It only does it when there's no sodium in the system. So if I was doing a show, I would like salt my meals 16 weeks out from the show, and I would keep my salt in right up until show day, because it improves, it's brilliant for vascularity, amazing for regulating blood pressure. It pulls water into the cell, so it rehydrates the cell. So when you start salting your meals, within 2 days your body starts regulating sodium. So any excess sodium it doesn't want, you just secrete it through your urine. So your body then is efficient at So if you don't have any sodium in your diet, and then you went on a really high sodium meal, like a cheat meal, and then the next morning you're 3, 4, 5 pound up, it's because of that exact reason.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, people like demonize sodium and salt.
Funny you say that, because like going into some of the bigger runs that I've done. So Gary Howells he did like a sweat test on me before the 100-miler attempt, and he tells you exactly what sort of sodium and salt essentially that you're excreting every hour through sweat, and mine was like just shy of 900 milligrams of salt per hour. So he said you need to be taking 1,000 milligrams per hour during the run, and also on like the lead up to it slightly as well, so like the week or during training runs. And like you said there, the one of the key things that fucks people up when they go into a half marathon, when they're not that, maybe not so much, they might be good at running, but they might not be used to doing that sort of level of intensity for that long periods of time. And then if they have a Red Bull or have some, go on the piss the night before, and then they don't fuel up with the sodium and all the different salts before it, that's kind of what how people die sometimes, isn't it? They say it's dehydration, what goes down as that, but it's like they've got enough water in the system.
Your potassium will drop, see?
Not the minerals that you need.
This is why competitive, when every bodybuilder's probably died, professional, is because of that exact reason. Messing with diuretics, very, very dangerous. It's a drug that will actually pull every single bit of water out of your body, and with that, electrolytes, sodium, potassium. Your potassium levels get too low, bad for the heart, it'll stop the heart. And even with me, that's how they stop my heart for 45 minutes. They fill the heart with potassium. Death row, how they kill people with intravenous injections. One of them is potassium. Yeah. They just fill the heart with potassium, it'll stop the heart straight away. So they use that as a way of like sort of stopping your heart so that they could operate. Yeah.
So if we talk about that as well, just so the people listening have got more context. Yeah. So obviously I've never been to I never go to the doctors. I'm always healthy. I'm anal with my blood work. I run my blood work privately through a company called MediChecks 3 times a year. My blood work's always immaculate. I'm not a big drinker. I've never smoked. Just went to the dentist the end of February this year. Went on a Wednesday, just a routine check with a hygienist. In the chair, measure my gums, making my gums bleed, going under the gum line, just routine, scrape and polish, and she was using this like water machine to like clean the teeth. Brilliant. Walked out, come out there, felt like $1 million as you do when you see a hygienist. That was on a Wednesday. Woke up on a Sunday morning, went upstairs, come on, let's go to Verdi's for a coffee, and I just started shaking uncontrollably, like I was freezing. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm cold, so put some clothes on, I'm still shaking. So anyway, cut long story short, went out in the car thinking it was going to pass. It didn't. Ended up coming back to the house, straight up to bed, under 2 blankets, shivering, managed to warm up, but took my temperature was 40 degrees, heart rate about 115 beats. So managed to calm down, I managed to stop the shivering,
And then as soon as I got up to do anything, go to the toilet, stand up, it happened again. So anyway, rang 111, and then they said, look, go over to A&E. Went to A&E. It was a 15-hour wait. Sat me by the door. I was shivering again. I thought, I can't stay here. I'm going home, like, as you do as males, like, right, I'll just suck it up and we'll get through it. Like, it could be anything. I thought it might be a cold, COVID, worst case scenario. Went back home. So you're talking about Monday now. Again, goes to bed, fine. Wakes up in the morning, fine. Soon as I get up to go to the toilet, next minute legs start going, shaking again. So all that week I was having episodes, maybe 2-3 a day. My girlfriend was like, right, you're going to ring the GP, you're going to see the GP. Went to the GP, he checked my chest, breathing, urine sample, everything was fine. Then the Wednesday, I rang him again, I had to go back again, then he sent me for bloods. So went to the hospital, ran bloods, had an episode while they were doing my bloods as well, shaking, shivering. They just like, you have to go and bring the GP for your results. Rang the GP, folic acid deficiency. Well, it was low, my folate, which is common in males anyway. So they gave me a prescription for folate. And then the Friday, so it's a week now of this happening. The Friday, again, it was happening again. Rang the GP and said, look, this is happening again. He's like, look, the surgery's closed, come here, I've wrote a letter, and go and take it to the hospital. So we drove to my surgery, banging on the door. He's like, look, take this letter, I've written it, I've rung the ward, they're expecting you. Went over to the hospital, sat in the waiting room until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Then they done all the tests on me, bloods. They thought it was meningitis, so my O2 stats were kind of lowish, but they were doing bloods, taking bloods for me, they were doing COVID swabs, x-rays, chest scans, everything. And then they sent me home. So then they done a lumbar, they said, right, we'll get on the bed, we're going to do a lumbar punch. Needle in the spine. I was like, oh my god, here we go. So I had a curl in a fetal position in the bed. They went into the spine, and I knew she was nervous because I'm on a muscle out of my back. She was trying to feel my spine for my vertebrae. She went in between the vertebrae, pushed in for like 5 minutes, pulled it out, said, I can't get any fluid. I'll have to go in again. So she went in again. She went again. She went in higher again, push in 5 minutes, pressure, pulled it out, said, I can't get any. So I have to go in one more time, higher up. If I can't get it, and I get underneath the system, we're gonna have to do it. So I was like, oh, please, just, I've had a week period now where I've been going to the mill, and then she got the fluid, thank God. Went away, because that's the one way they test for meningitis, spinal fluid, came back negative. So they sent me home with paracetamol. I literally get home that night, about 9 o'clock. It was a Friday. Soon as I sat on the sofa, phone goes, can you come back? We found bacteria in your blood. So back I went, and that's when I went downhill. So the Saturday, Sunday, everything just started getting worse. I couldn't lay back with the pressure on my chest. I could feel like kind of gurgling, I could hear it. My O2 stat was like 81% on 3 litres of oxygen, struggling to breathe. My heart rate was like 115 beats, so I was like really fatigued. And they were doing tests again, bloods again, everything. Then I ended up in intensive care. So they tried putting a CMAP mask on me. They said, look, put this mask on. It feels like it's, you got your head out of a car window under an hour. So they put this mask on me, they strap it to the back of my head, and it was the most horrendous thing. And that's what was killing a lot of people in COVID, because it forces air into the lungs.
So your lungs stop working.
So it's breathing for you basically. And this is why they stopped putting people on that. So I literally lasted 4 minutes on it. It was making me breathe out to my regular rhythm, because I was already, because I was struggling. It was actually stressing me. I was like, look, can you get this off me? So they took it off me. They put me in another mask. They blue lighted me over to Morriston, cardiac intensive care, 4 o'clock in the morning. Gets there, I think it was a Sunday morning. They did an echocardiogram on my heart, and that's where they could see the mass on my heart. So Monday morning, I've got 7 heart surgeons that bought my bed. So he's like, look, you're in a bad way. I'll say it exactly we said it. He's like, your valve's obliterated. He's like, you've got endocarditis. Bacteria's latched onto your valve. It's eating your valve away. Whereas your valve normally is doing that. It's a one-way valve. Yours is obliterated, and it's just flapping. So there's water and blood going both ways, that your heart is offloading water to the rest of your body. So he's like, look, you know, we don't know how you're alive. You've been in acute heart failure for 2 weeks. He's like, but you're so physically fit, you're so physically strong, and you're so fit internally, that's the only reason you've lasted this long.
Yeah.
He's like, if it was me, if it was any of these, we'd be dead. He's like, you are in a bad way. Personally, I get your affairs in order. So I was like, oh no, I can imagine this time. And there, I'm wired up to everything. I hadn't seen my daughter for 2 months because she's in private school. You know, and when you get told something like that, and you haven't got your family around you, no amount of money, clothes, cars, trophies, nothing matters like when you haven't got your loved ones. You're basically faced with death, because they basically said, look, get your affairs in order. So I just wrote my will. I didn't even know I was even writing. I just wrote my will on my phone, sent it to my girlfriend. I made a video for my daughter, I made a video for my father, I made a video for my girlfriend. And they said, look, you're on so much diuretics that if we keep on any longer, you're going to have kidney failure, because your heart's offloading water everywhere. And if normally we'd give you antibiotics for 2 weeks to kill the bacteria, and then we'd go in, but you won't be in 2 weeks. He's like, so we're going to go in tomorrow morning. So yeah, I went down for surgery Wednesday, March the 9th, 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's crazy because when you're faced with something like that, you're kind of not scared. You know, obviously, you know, I wasn't drugged up, but I was, you know, I'm very aware of my surroundings, and I'm like, I'm in this bed, you know, they're wheeling me down the corridors, and I'm thinking, here we go, am I even going to wake up? You know, so I was faced with, you know, because he did say to me, okay, your affairs and all that, so I'm thinking, am I going to survive the surgery? So they wheeled me into the room, the anaesthetist is putting, obviously, the anaesthetic in me, and I can remember looking at the clock, and gone, you're gone. And then they put me out Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock, and they brought me round Thursday afternoon, 12 o'clock. So I was out like a proper 24 hours, but they basically sawed my sternum, opened my chest up, collapsed my lungs, pushed the lungs out of the way, filled the heart with potassium, stopped the heart for 45 minutes, cut the top of the tube, looked down the tube where the valve is, cut the valve out, took the valve out, then he put a carbon fibre valve in, which is about 11 grand. Put the carbon fibre valve in, stitched that in, you know, they got like the binoculars on, so microsurgery, stitched that in, stitched the tube back, and then wired me back together. So they basically, I got wires in me now for the rest of my life. So basically they went through my breastbone, they went through one side of my sternum, through the other one, and they basically pulled me like a lace, and pulled my chest back together. So they triple wired me then, all the way down my sternum. So they said, we don't normally triple wire people unless they're morbidly obese. So they're like, we've never opened somebody's chest up like yours. I mean, they're going to cut through, you know, chest muscle like that. So they triple wired me. Yeah, and they brought me round. But you know, I was on fentanyl, I was on morphine, post-surgery. I was full of water, one of my eyelids was full of water. I was in cardiac for intensive care for like 2 days. Then I went into intensive care ward, and I was there, and the worst thing for me was sleep deprivation. I had a fear of going in the bed. I couldn't sit in the bed because I couldn't sit backwards. And even sitting with the bed upright, I just didn't feel comfortable. So I sat in the chair next to the bed. Because I was upright like this, there was no pressure on my chest, so I couldn't sleep. They were giving me a sleeping tablet like 11. I was waking 1 o'clock in the morning, so I was awake all morning, all afternoon. I was awake, so after days of that, I was hallucinating then. So I was like having, conversations with my father, and I'd wake up and he wasn't there. I can remember reaching out and grabbing a drink for my girlfriend, and she wasn't there. And it's demoralising. I sat in the end of a bed and, naked. I had a male nurse washing my arm. I couldn't even wash my arm, that's how weak I was, So all that kind of emotions, and it's a bit demoralising going from somebody who's so physically strong, and going through that kind of process. And then I had, drains going into my stomach. They were taken out. Then I had 2 wires going in. That was probably the worst thing for me, because they cut this wire. Basically, they'd pull this wire through my abdomen. I thought it was a stitch. It wasn't. She cut the wire. I was screaming. Then she pulled it out, and it was the most excruciating pain. And I got a high pain threshold. I've never felt pain like that in my life. I was screaming the ward down. So she's like, I'm gonna have to call the surgeon because it shouldn't be that painful. So then he came, he forced me on the bed, look, you know, lay back, it's got to come out. So I was, you know, he pulled that one out and I was screaming. But they told me afterwards that they were going through my abs, the wires were, but they were stitched to my heart lining.
Right.
So they were cutting them and then pulling it, so it was pulling and unravelling off on my heart lining. So if they told me that before, then I probably never let them do it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they told me afterwards. So he's like, oh, don't realise why they were so painful. I was like, no, it's like because they were attached to heart lining. I was like, what? So then I was moved to a ward, Cyril Evans ward, famous ward in Morrison Hospital, named after Cyril Evans. I was in there and I was still sitting in a chair, you know, wired up on oxygen, 3 litres of oxygen, and the toilet was literally 10 foot away. You know, and I couldn't go to the toilet without even, you know, walking. I couldn't walk to the toilet with oxygen, or carrying a bottle of oxygen. But me being the person I am, I was like, right, I'm going to take the oxygen off and I'm going to go. So I was getting back from the toilet, gasping for air, putting my oxygen back on. So then I started thinking, then, right, I'm going to walk to the corridor. And I was walking to the corridor, then I was walking down the bottom of the corridor, you know, and then they like, you know, because they do encourage you to get up and walk around. 99% of people don't. They just lay in bed all day, they sit there and vegetate. So I was, you know, walking around there without oxygen, and then I found that then I was on morphine, short tech, long tech. I was like, I don't want that anymore. They're like, you sure? Post-surgery, like, because it's addictive.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, no, I don't want it. I'll just take the paracetamol. So I even stopped that myself, and then all of a sudden I'm walking down the main corridor, then I'm walking to the main entrance, and then I'm walking around the whole perimeter of the hospital, and then I'm coming in through the ambulance bay and I'm thinking, right, there's flights of stairs here, I'm going to start walking flights of stairs. So I'm walking 3 flights of stairs and I'm like gasping now, and it's, when you struggle to breathe, it's a real like anxiety thing. Your heart's pumping, and your chest is pumping, you know, and I think my heart was like 146 beats just walking up 3 flights of stairs, you know, and after like, you know, a couple of days of that, next minute it's down to 103, 101. So I'm getting fitter.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, you know, first of all I was walking and shuffling, then I'm walking at pace. So every day I was getting, you know, I was defying doctors every day. They'd never seen anyone recover like me. So, yeah, you know, thankfully now, obviously I'm a couple of months post-surgery, signed off, totally healed, got a mechanical valve, which I'll have for life. Nothing in my life will change. You know, I am on warfarin, which is a blood thinner, so your blood is 1. My ass is staying between 2 and 3, so I can't eat anything with vitamin K. But obviously, you know, putting this out there is great because, you know, if anyone has those kind of symptoms, endocarditis is very, very common. You know, I went to a bodybuilding show with a client last week, and 2 people came to me and said, oh, our friend passed away. She was a girl in her 20s.
Yeah.
She had infected gum, and she didn't get to hospital.
Yeah.
She, you know, she had the shivering, and she died. And then somebody in my gym in Kicks, the receptionist, her brother's had it done because he had a rotten tooth. So it's very, very common. 3 most common things the surgeons told me is people licking syringes and injecting, heroin addicts. Yeah. 2 is dental work.
Yeah.
And 3 is gardening. People gardening, you know, get a cut on your hand, bacteria in the soil goes in there and attacks the heart. They'll either go to the groin or they'll go to the heart. There's one place they'll always go. So endocarditis, you know, I didn't have a heart attack. You know, they've looked at my heart in depth. My left ventricle, my left side of my heart is absolutely perfect. You know, because heart attacks are always going to be your left side. You know, that's the thick part of the heart. So when you take, like, you know, performance-enhancing drugs, you know, if the rest of you is growing, heart's a muscle, the heart's going to grow. So yeah, that's perfect. So everything, my blood pressure's brilliant, I'm sleeping better, you know, I'm doing cardio consciously now every day for the rest of my life to maintain, you know, a level of fitness. So my weight has flown back up, you know, I lost 15 kilos post-surgery. I'm back up to 255. Yeah, I lost 7 kilos in 2 days. They weighed me, and then 2 days later, I was like, it's got to be broke.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you've lost 7 kilos. So they had me on, you know, diuretics, they had me on, and I had a PICC line, goes into my bicep here. It went into here, I haven't got a scar there, but it's 40 inches long. So they basically, they were all gummed up and like that. Through,
right the way through, is it?
yeah, so they went into an artery there, and they fed the line all the way up. So basically, they would give me antibiotics then through there for every 4 hours for 3 months. 6 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because I had the worst bacteria. So they were pumping me full of...
So you were in hospital for 3 months?
Yeah, 3 months, yeah. So March the 9th, I had the surgery, and I got discharged April... no, I didn't get a chance in April, did I? It was, March the 9th was my surgery. I was in, I think it was 2.5 months I was in.
Yeah.
2.5 months. I got released a week early because of the fact I recovered so well. Like, but, one thing I want to say is, thank you to the NHS. They saved my life, like, unbelievable. And like, people, we take it so for granted. These nurses are incredible. They're overworked, they're underpaid. These surgeons, they're absolutely incredible. I had Mrs. Aidi, the top heart surgeon in the country, worked on me, very OCD. His patient care is phenomenal. He was ringing my ward 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, checking up on me, and he was, his level of patient care is phenomenal. He expects it from everyone underneath him. Like, so, the nurses were amazing. NHS, they reckon I cost the NHS about $250,000. Yeah. So the ward I was in, I think per night, I think it's about maybe about £1,000 a week.
Yeah.
I had my own room. Think of the food, the drugs, the nurses. And intensive care is 10 times that. It's one nurse per 2 beds. Yeah. So you think of all the ECGs, the X-rays you're having, the medication. We take it for granted until you go through something like that, or a family member goes through something like that. You really appreciate how we get free healthcare in this country. I
was going to say, it is just when you put the cost on it like that. I think that's that's something that should potentially, if it's not done already, but it should be kind of highlighted to people, isn't it? When they go to the hospital, for example, and they get, an X-ray, even though you're not giving them the physical bill, to give them the, like you said, the cost, so they can actually go, oh shit, that's actually just cost, taxpayer money, whatever. Not because they don't need it, but also just to create that awareness and understanding of how, like you said, how grateful we should be about the fact that we've got that facility for free.
Yeah, I had people from America messaging me and said, like, if I was us, I was me, we'd be dead. Yeah. Because they wouldn't be able to afford it. So, we are very, very lucky. And like, I bought all the girls on the ward chocolates and treats that no one nurses like. So I bought all the girls chocolates, and I bought my surgeon a really expensive bottle of champagne to say thank you. They were incredible, absolutely. I've really got a different outlook on the NHS. I would definitely like to do something, for the NHS as a fundraiser or something to give back. But yeah, saved my life. And like, they're so overworked, and they're so stressed. It's like, people take the mick when we were clapping every night for the NHS. And what we pay back in national insurance doesn't cover half what the bill is for the NHS. There's a lot of people who go down wasting the NHS's time. Do you mean being sporadic and being not looking after themselves and being overweight, and this is why I do what I do as well. Is knowledge and putting that out there. And this is why I find it crazy how people don't look after their health. It's the one thing that carries you through life. Your body's so resilient, but the one vessel that carries you through life, because they say every person will experience one kind of surgery in their lifetime. So everything that I did from competitive bodybuilding, building that stress up over the years from competing, it built me for that exact scenario. And if I was, a heavy drinker, heavy smoker, didn't look after myself, I probably would have been dead. So
how much of it do you think comes down to sort of like self-worth? So like, probably people who, like you said, will, obviously we know drinking is like a sociable thing, isn't it? Like smoking's got its own thing as well, so it's like a distraction or like to keep you sort of, busy hands. There's all different sort of psychological aspects to it. Do you think having like a self-worth, if somebody's got low self-worth, that they're potentially less likely to look after themselves in that sense?
I think it isn't always about vanity. To me, I just think, like, as human beings, there's so much data out there now, there's so much free information out there with social media, with Google and things like that. It's not like, you're unbeknown, you know what you're doing to yourself. Whether you don't care is another thing, but I can guarantee you this: you pay for it now or you pay for it later. And I can tell you this, when you're going through something, whatever it's going to be later on in life, be in the best physical, give yourself the best chance possible, because you look after your physique and your physique will look after you.
Yeah.
Not from a vanity standpoint or being muscular or being drinking water. How many people don't drink water? It's crazy how they don't hydrate.
They say most people are actually in UK, and US and stuff, they are dehydrated.
Yeah,
1% dehydrated is when you get that little feeling, isn't it, in your mouth that you could have a drink, you're already 1% dehydrated. Yeah. And I always say,
by the time you get being thirsty, you're way past it.
I say this to people all the time, it's, it affects your cognition as well as your physical thing. If you feel, you procrastinate, or you feel a little bit anxious, or low energy, or demotivated, all those sorts of things, a lot of it can be solved just by
even hunger.
Taking water, isn't it?
Hunger will mimic dehydration. A lot of people who think they're hungry, they're actually dehydrated. I used to say with clients, how much fluid you drink today? Oh yeah, I haven't drunk that much. Well, you're probably dehydrated, not actually hungry. Our bodies are made up of water. Our blood's 82% water. Our lungs are 91% water. You on a desert island, right? And you didn't have any food. How long would you live? 12, 13 days? How many days would you live without water? 3 days? 2 or 3 days? You're dead. Everything will shut down. That just tells you right there and then. So it's crazy, because I think this is why, as a coach as well, I run blood work with all my clients, male and female. I encourage it. It's not that expensive. I think if you run your blood work once a year, it gives you like an internal MOT. It tells you, what good is it if you look physically incredible, but you've got, your cholesterol's all out of whack. Do you mean? And you've got too much red blood cells and things like that. So blood work, I'm massive on as well. I do advocate that with my clients. It comes back and it's amazing, brilliant. Running once a year, it's like 80, 90 quid. Checks like 40 different health markers. So, blood work, it checks like your hemoglobin, your hematocrit, liver, kidney, red cell count, white cell count, your testosterone, your estrogen. Females, you can do hormonal checks, your FSH, your LH, which is your follicle stimulating hormones, and your luteal hormones. Males, that's how you produce swimmers. Like I've had clients come to me, look, Neil, I got a client now, Chris, and they want to try for another baby. So basically, we've had to run his blood work, and we've had I put certain supplements in to aid his increasing testosterone and things like that. And unbeknown, he's they got that. And he's and I've had I had a client from Bridgend going back last year, only 32. Run his blood work, his cholesterol was fucked, right? And his testosterone was 4. Now for a male, it's the building blocks of life. Yeah. As you get older, your testosterone naturally decreases. Bone degeneration, muscle loss, everything. It makes males what they are. Libido, sex drive. This is why we're more hairier than females, why we've got more muscle mass than females, why we're more angrier than females, because we've got androgens, testosterone. Women, high estrogen, low testosterone. Males, high testosterone, low estrogen. So he came to me, he's 32, and his testosterone was 4. Now the healthy range for a male is 7 and 28. So he was already at 4, at 32. He was underproducing, so he's got no libido, no sex drive. He's not going to grow, he's not going to maintain muscle or put on any muscle. It's going to affect everything. So we run his, I've redone his diet, implemented some things with his diet, put some supplements in, some great natural things you can buy over the counter, no drugs. And we run his blood work again in 12 weeks, and he came from 4 to 28 within 12 weeks. Yeah. Changed his life. And you've got some great supplements out there, boron, some real good data coming back with boron, pine bark extract, maca root for blood flow, zinc picolinate. All these kind of things will increase the body's ability to, increase your testosterone. I run blood work. I'm a massive advocate of it, because all these different health markers you check, think about it, your body is regenerating red cells all the time. You're like a pressure cooker. If you're taking anabolics or performance-enhancing drugs, even more so, it's going to produce even more red cells. So the life cycle of a cell, or a red blood cell, is like 17 days. Right. After that, it dies. It doesn't go anywhere, it just floats on the body. So this is why donated blood is so healthy for males. Not just helping the NHS and helping people who need blood donations. It's healthy for us, because this is why we can donate every 16 weeks. I donate blood, they take 470 ml of blood out of me. Within 24 hours, my body, from a plasma standpoint, will regenerate that 470 ml. It'll be back on its own. But the health benefits over the months you know, it takes pressure off the liver, the kidneys, it brings down your hemoglobin, it brings down your hematocrit. So it's very healthy for males because, like I say, you're like a pressure cooker. And when you donate blood, you feel amazing afterwards. And that's because that exact reason.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you're filling a bucket up and then you take it back down. And you fill it up, so you're constantly doing this. So, you know, it's very healthy for males to do it. I religiously do it every 3 months.
So when you say it's healthy, obviously you said about the markers that it changes. Like what long-term benefits are there? Like, you know, for example, does it aid in, you know, reduction of like potential cardiovascular issues, or is there anything like that?
Yeah, like say we run blood work now and we look at these two markers, hemoglobin and hematocrit.
Yeah.
Hemoglobin is how much blood you've got in your body.
Right.
So if that's high, your blood can get thick.
Okay.
So your blood can get gloopy, so that can give you liver and kidney problems the further down the line. Your hematocrit, you know, iron in your red cells and things like that, if that's over like 53, that can like lead to heart attack and strokes further down the line. So when you donate blood, it brings them two markers down, back in range. So, you know, every 3 months you're bringing down those markers. If they're in range, brilliant. But if you're eating a lot of red meat, things like that, you know, they can be out of range. Then obviously, you know, liver and kidneys, looking at those. I've probably looked at about 50 different blood works from clients, just random people on Instagram, look, Neil, at my blood work gun, could have a look at it. And I would say I've probably not had to give advice for like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Everyone else,
people,
everyone else health markers out, and it's crazy because I can tell you this now. I've looked at boys' blood work in their 20s with fucked cholesterol, and it's the biggest killer in males. Do you mean, you know, cardiovascular disease and things like that? And the biggest reason, when you look at your cholesterol, you've got two markers: your HDL and your LDL. One is good cholesterol, one is bad cholesterol. HDL, which is your high density lipoproteins, that's your good cholesterol. You need that above 1.1, right? LDL, low density lipoproteins, that's your bad cholesterol. So you want your LDL low and your HDL high. If your HDL is below 1.1, then you're at risk of calcification within the arteries.
Okay, yeah, that's going to range it. Well, it's the heart valve, yeah, because it can cause like heart attacks.
Yeah,
like that,
so if your HDL cholesterol is low, you're at risk of calcification within the arteries, okay? So you get a plaque build-up. You couple that with a bad diet, somebody who's got a really sedentary lifestyle, bad diet, you know, 20 years down the line, but that plaque snaps off, you're going to have a blockage, you're going to drop dead, right? So, you know, your HDL, it needs to be above 1.1. Now, every marker we run on blood work, whether it's hemoglobin, hematocrit, your cholesterol, liver, kidney, you can bring all back in range with lifestyle, dietary changes and supplementation. Supplementation's gone massive now. I'm a massive advocate of supplements. So you've got, you know, citrus bergamot, which increases HDL. You've got Lipid Max, a phenomenal supplement my sponsors do, which drives down LDL, the bad cholesterol, raises HDL, increasing your omega-3s. Omega-3s increases your krill oil, you know, adding them into, you know, it's brilliant because I can run a client's blood work and I will literally then revamp their diet and implement things to bring those markers back in range.
Yeah.
So omega-3s, again, don't go to Tesco's and buy any vitamins. You know, omega-3 fish oils, a lot of the market are rancid, high mercury content because our seas are polluted. Make sure that EPHA and DHA, which is the good fats, and it's a good quality omega-3. Increasing omega-3s, cognitive function, brain health, heart health. You can increase that. Krill oil is another brilliant fish oil. Increasing that will bring up your HDL. So you can bring up your HDL. That, you know, donated blood is going to bring down your hemoglobin and your hematocrit. You know, you got stuff for your liver and your kidneys. Nacylcysteine, Tudka. You know, Tudka takes bile out of the liver. Phenomenal supplement. You got nacylcysteine.
What was the first one? What was that? The one that takes bile out, you said?
Tudka.
Tudka, okay.
Tudka. That's really, really good. You know, and then you got nacylcysteine, NAC, nacylacetylcysteine. So basically, it's a real powerful antioxidant. So it rids any oxidized stress from a cellular standpoint. You know, inside the body for one, phenomenal for the liver and kidneys. But, you know, there's data coming out now that NAC fights COVID from a respiratory standpoint.
Right.
So this is why, you know, in America, they're taking NAC out of the health shops. They don't want you buying a supplement that's going to fight COVID. They want you on medical drugs. They want, no, so it's still, you can still get in the UK. It's something I take every single day. One, again, it's a powerful antioxidant, same as vitamin E, but it fights COVID from a respiratory standpoint. So NAC, TUDCA, they can, bring your health, your kidney and your liver markers in. What else? You've got obviously stuff for your testosterone. So all these markers, and with dietary changes, if your hemoglobin, your hematocrit is quite high, you can take the red meat of your diet. So all these things, you can do.
Do you think the NAC would be good for people with asthma? Or
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So what does it do? Does it like help with increase in the lung capacity, or
yeah? So the cells, it bridges the cells within the lungs as well. So actually, I was in hospital and they run bloods one day, and my ALT levels went through the roof. So they're like, we don't understand what, but I was on so much antibiotics, this is what it was. So I was like, right, no problem, I'm going to get my missus to bring NAC from the house. He's like, well, we can't stop you, but we wouldn't like you to do that. I said, well, it's a phenomenal antioxidant, and it's phenomenal for the liver and the kidneys. Okay, we'll prescribe you NAC. So they prescribed me medical NAC cysteine. So I was like, what about folic acid? That's linked to the liver and the kidneys. Okay, yeah, we'll give you folic acid as well then. So I'm telling them what to do, so they give me NAC cysteine within 3 days. My ALT levels came straight back down. So it's and the one I use off Amazon, it's like 16 quid, 600 milligrams. I do morning and night. It's again, supplementation's gone so far now. It's just, there's some things every day, every single person should take. Vitamin D3, we're naturally deficient in it because we don't get enough sun. Especially if you're of an ethnic background, they're genetically deficient in it.
It's harder to absorb the rays of the sun and the vitamin D, isn't
That's
it?
right.
That's what
so this is why, and ethnic clients I've had run their blood work and the vitamin D3 comes back low. So vitamin D3 should be a non-negotiable every single day. K2 runs in synergy with D3, and I'll go back to the calcification in the arteries. So vitamin D3, one of the things it does, it regulates calcium. Vitamin K2 transports calcium away from the arteries, away from the muscles and soft tissues into the bones. So if you have got any calcification within the arteries from a bad diet, from HDL being low, it will encourage calcium transport from the arteries, from the soft tissues into the bones. So if you take vitamin D3, you have to take vitamin K2. They work in synergy. Them two, vitamin C.
Would you say as well with the D3, so I know in the winter they say about 4,000 IU for the D3, and is it about 100 IU or 100?
No, I would say all year round about 4,000 to 5,000.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
All year round.
And what about the K2 then?
K2 is 400 mcgs of that. They never do it more stronger than that, no matter which one you look at. Sometimes you can get vitamin D3 with K2 in it as well. But I take them separately. I can't take vitamin K2 now, obviously, because of warfarin. But D3, K2, it's depending on how far you want to go. Glutathione, again, NAC cysteine converts to glutathione in the body. Glutathione is a very, very powerful antioxidant. The data that's coming out on glutathione is incredible. They reckon even delays the aging process. There were studies done on rats, mice, flies. They give glutathione to a particular group of these three things, and they were living like 30 odd days longer than all the rest that didn't have it. So glutathione is data coming out, it's phenomenal data out there. You've got curcumin, which is a byproduct of turmeric, but again, people misconsume. Curcumin has to be 98% curcuminoid, so it's got to be a particular brand. It's not, you don't get turmeric, don't just use curcumin, it's got to be 98% curcuminoid, and it's got to have bioprene, which is a patented black pepper. It can't be absorbed otherwise. So that, again, data out there, shrinks tumours, shrinks cancer cells, unbelievable. A girl came to me, transformation client last year, Jade, and she had ovarian cysts, and this is what makes me proud of what I do. She came to me, she had ovarian cysts for years, bursting, ended up in hospital, growing back, bursting. She came on to me, she needed to bring her BMI down, her body mass index, sort of diet out. So I done her diet, and I said, right, we're going to do this. She was told to take supplements that had no business of her taking it for a start. So we scrapped all them. I put specific supplements in, curcumin, we put IP6 in, which chelatates iron out of the blood. We put a really good curcumin in there, we put cysteine in there, we put tadka in, and then I think 12 weeks later she went back and they were completely gone. Voice note to me, burst out crying, completely gone.
So curcumin, tadka, and what was the other one?
IP6.
IP6.
Which is like inositol, hexapopionate, and it chelatates the iron out of the blood. She was taking like maca root, which is a blood flow product, and I was like, if you've got tumours, why would you feed them? Why do you increase your blood flow? So you increase your blood flow to a tumour.
Yeah.
So we done that, and yeah, gone. So it's, you know, supplementation, you can have a bit of overkill. I don't like taking multivitamins.
I was going to ask you about that actually. I was going to say about.
For the simple fact is they're trying to ram so much in a tablet, you get high chalk content. I prefer to do it individually. You know, every morning, you know, again, non-negotiables, D3, K2, glutathione, cysteine, B complex. A lot of people find it lethargic. B vitamins convert carbohydrates to energy. Water soluble, so you would never take too many. Any excess your body doesn't want, you just secrete it out. You know, there's certain things that females need over males. Fibre, you know, dietary fibre. They have to have a fibre amount each day. Women just don't go to the toilet like males do. They don't. You know, they get quite blocked up, they get, you know, bloated, so putting a good fibre intake in, putting in, there's a brilliant product my sponsors do called Digest Max. It's got thistle and husk in there, it's got fibre in there, it's got your digestive enzymes, probiotics, so it's a real all-round gut product. Breaks down your food, breaks down your stools, go to the toilet regular. Women just always get backed up, they never go to the toilet as frequent as males do.
So the digestive enzymes, I had a really good really good benefit from them. So there was, I had like IBS symptoms develop, so I went on a vegan diet for about 1.5 years. And I was doing it right initially, but then after, like I'd say after a couple of months, I was definitely not doing it right. I was just doing it for the sake of it, you know, so not eating, you know, any meat-based products just for the sake of being vegan, rather than my original reasons, which were to do with the health aspect of it, you know, low cholesterol and whatever. But I started developing IBS, so I kind of isolated foods. I was monitoring when I'd have caffeine or I'd have certain things, and like figuring out, okay, well, this thing triggers it, this triggers it, drinking triggers it. And I thought, okay, maybe it's a gluten thing, maybe it's, you know, and I went to the doctor in the end. I said, right, I've checked this, I've checked that, done this, I've done that. I think I've got IBS. And the doctor said, well, why have you come here then? And I was like, just to tell me if I'm right or not. They were like, yeah, sounds like you have. I said, right, great, what can we do about it? So they said, well, there's not much you can do about it, you know, you just got it now. And I was like, I never had it before, so I don't accept that I've got it now. And I basically like kind of started researching, you know, probiotic supplements, taking, you know, different things like that, because about building up the microbiome count in the stomach, isn't it? So like the bodyguards or the gatekeepers or whatever of the, you know, your stomach. So I started taking Tumbiotics, Quest, the brand Quest. So taking quite a high dosage of those with the microbiome in it. What I found is when I was taking that, it was lessening the severity of the symptoms month on month over, say, a 3 or 4 month period. And then just so happens, one of my mates mentioned about taking digestive enzymes, completely unrelated, you know, just because it helps with the distribution of the nutrients around the body, isn't it? So started taking those, and when I was taking the digestive enzymes on top of the Tumbiotics, I was having no like flare-ups whatsoever. So beer was a big fucking issue for me. I only went out 3-4 times the entire year, just because every time I'd have one sip of beer, I'd be in the toilet, stomach all bloated, like horrific pain and stuff, and I just, you know, I felt horrific. As soon as I started taking the digestive enzymes, the flare-up wasn't happening, and the Tumbiotics working in synergy with it, I found that were lessening the severity of it and building up my stomach or whatever over the course of a couple of months. I don't take either of them now. I'm not on a vegan diet anymore, but I think the last flare-up, I've had one flare-up in maybe 3 years. And, do you know what I mean? It's completely
That's
solved.
the thing, it's, you know, there's nothing, you know, spectacular about vegan diet, carnivore diet, fasting, you know, calorie deficit. If it's for weight loss, calorie deficit will always be king, okay? Calories in, calories out. You know, data coming back now with vegans, because it's only really catching on now, but there's data coming back where the gums are receding a lot faster, hair loss a lot faster, the skin is aging, because they're restricting themselves so much. I also, as a coach, I don't just run blood work, I run intolerance and sensitivity checks through a company. So again, you know, I spoke about this yesterday, my story, that you know, with vegans, now I run this test with a vegan client, and it came back and she was deficient in everything. Vitamin D3, 100% deficient. L-carnitine, 100% deficient, which is the main amino acid for fat loss. It's found in trace amounts in meat, in red meat. If you've never eaten red meat, you're not going to have any L-carnitine. So if you're not, no, so I had to obviously implement now supplements in her daily regime, because she's not going to go and eat meat, she's not going to change the way she is, but she was deficient in everything you can think of, and there's lots of data coming out now, because I read a lot of studies of, you know, you're going to see, you know, vegans are going to be aging, we're going to have a lot of health issues further down the line. Ketogenic diets, again, nothing special with ketogenic, not sustainable, I don't care what anyone says, great for somebody who's quite overweight, just to get them, you know, to get it going. Same as fasting can work. You know, there's nothing special about fasting, that's all it does, it just closes your eating window. So if you're awake for 18 hours a day and you're eating, you know, X amount of times a day, if you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you don't eat till midday, you've just closed 6 hours of your eating window, that's all. You know, but then if you're, you know, gouging the back end of the day, you're not really doing anything. So from a you know, a weight loss standpoint, calorie deficit is always going to be king. But again, with this test I run, it tests for 950 different variables. I've had girls, you know, one of my clients, we done her 2 weeks ago, she was brought in after she was having shakes. Came back, she was dairy intolerant. She was dairy intolerant, goat's milk, sheep's milk, cow's milk, dairy intolerant. So then we pulled milk out of her diet, we pulled shakes out of her diet, we switched from whey protein to a vegan protein, like a plant-based protein, so she can still eat her protein requirements. Bloating's gone, transformed her physique. Two girls came back last week. One was, she was nearly 100%, she was deficient in melatonin, which is what the brain releases for sleep. So she was deficient in that, she's like 98%. She was deficient in L. bifidus, which is a good bacteria. Lactobacillus bifidus, which is a gut biome. So she was 90% deficient in that. She was intolerant to eggs, 100%. She was intolerant to, she was gluten intolerant as well. So it came back, you know, so all these, so I have to revamp her diet then. We took the eggs out, we took anything that was in there, like, you know, wraps, things like that, it'd all be gluten-free. And it's literally then, so using them kind of tests, you know, and from a deficiency standpoint, now she's adding in, you know, L. bifidus from a supplement standpoint, melatonin she's putting in 3 milligrams an hour before bed with magnesium. So it's brilliant because you can combat, you know, I can use that data then and you're literally transforming people's day-to-day lives. Like,
well, that I was just going to say, I mean, you know, you're not just transforming their physique there, but it's an all-round thing, isn't it? It's literally changing their life, their energy output, you know, mood as well. So like, you know, if you're having food that you're intolerant to, you know, like you said, there might be physical markers where you have like a bloated stomach, but a lot of the time it's probably just going to exhibit as low energy, low moods, you know, I don't know, just wanting to sleep, for example, throughout the daytime, and you might be compensating them with caffeine or, you know, other things, isn't it, you know, to try and get you that little burst of energy, Red Bull, things like that.
Cortisol is highest in the morning, people don't realise, and they drink caffeine then, which drives up cortisol, you know, first thing in the morning. So, you know, again, you know, if you know what you're doing, like I do an adrenal reset, so I use a specific supplement with, I'm doing it right now with a female client. She's like, I want to stop all the caffeine. I just want to, and it's brilliant because if you run in a lot of stims, pre-workout, drink a lot of caffeine, stop it for 2 weeks, run this product, and it literally will reset your adrenal glands.
What's it called?
Adrenal Reset.
Adrenal Reset. Okay, because they say with caffeine, I know Andrew Huberman, the guy from Stanford Med, he said about caffeine is it adenosine? There's like a sleep receptor sort of thing,
Yeah.
or sleep chemical that lingers around for like 90 to 120 minutes after waking. And then if you're taking caffeine or having caffeine first thing in the morning, I think it binds with the adenosine, doesn't it, to sort of give you that wakefulness. But then if you're having it too early in the morning, you're interrupting that sort of normal waking process, and then you're likely to pay for that later on. And I found it when I was drinking coffee first thing in the morning. I do have one about 2 hours after waking, so I'll go for a dip in the morning, go down for have a social, go for a coffee. It's usually about an hour and a half, 2 hours after being awake. That's when I'm having a coffee and I'm having some breakfast, and that tends to work for me because I'm consistent energy then for the day. Whereas if I was having it first thing when I'm waking up, and then I'm having maybe I find myself having a couple of others then throughout the day, I'm falling asleep in meetings. I remember I was literally in a meeting in Swansea University, really like a head of a department, so it was an important meeting, and there was me, my colleague, and the lady there, and I'm literally sitting there, I'm like this.
Yeah.
And I was nodding off, and it's because of that sort of...
your body's got a high affinity, build a real high tolerance against caffeine. So if you was, say, having a 200 milligram hit of caffeine, that would give you a bit of a buzz, and I know that would give you like, good cognitive function. Within, a couple of days, you might need 250, then 300, then 350. This is why, I've seen me take 900 milligrams of caffeine, 6 o'clock in the evening, so I go to bed at 10 o'clock. So this is why it's good to, reset your adrenal glands, things like that. But, our bodies do have an affinity to build up real high tolerance to caffeine. I use a lot of caffeine tablets with clients. If they're in prep and things like that, 200 milligrams of caffeine in the morning with like yohimbine, which is a phenomenal fat burner that I use. But yeah, caffeine is, that's a resetting your adrenal. You can't drink any caffeine in that 2-week period, see? So you have to stop any kind of pre-workout, any kind of stims, sugar-free drinks. You just completely go turkey from a stimulant standpoint for that 2 weeks.
What about sugar as well? Because obviously sugar is like a stimulant as well, isn't it? Is it mostly cutting out the bad sugars for that week as well? Or is that sort of...
with running that, no. I mean, they shouldn't be using sugar anyway. I don't know if anyone does. Sweeteners, aspartame doesn't spike insulin, so it's absolutely safe. This is why I find like Pepsi Max and Coke Zero godsend when I'm prepping for a show. It's just that, because aspartame doesn't spike insulin. See, and this is where when you're trying to lose weight, you want to try and keep your insulin down as low as possible. If you're having insulin is a fat storing hormone.
Right.
So if you're having multiple insulin spikes throughout the day, your insulin sensitivity is rubbish. You want to be spiking your insulin basically when you want it to, which is if you're going to go and train, pre-workout and post-workout. Pre-workout to stimulate carbohydrates, glucose into the cells, post-workout to help with the recovery process. This is why we have the GI index, glycemic index, where all foods fall into an index and they give it a rating from 0 to 100. So you don't know about the GI index?
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
So basically, they give all foods fall into this index and they give it a rating from 0 to 100. The higher the rating, the more of an insulin spike it's going to give you. So the more sugar is in it. So 100 being dextrose, glucose, pure sugar, that's 100. Then you've got all foods, so basmati rice would be like 51. Sweet potato would be like 52. A Mars bar would be like 87. But then you've got long grain rice would be like 93. So you've got long grain rice will give you a bigger insulin spike than a Mars bar would. And then you've got basmati rice, which is like 52 out of 100. Then you've got jasmine rice, which is like 91. So if you eat more lower GI foods, the better you are, because the less of an insulin spike you're going to have. This is why everyone has oats for breakfast, because it's a complex carbohydrate. It's low. Whereas we've got oats, which is a complex carbohydrate, and then you've got cereal, which is a high GI carbohydrate. That's going to spike your insulin massively, and that's not. So the more you control your insulin spikes and keep it down lower, the better you are, because...
I was going to say, how do people, is it on the packaging usually, or do you have to...
No.
It's not,
No.
is it? No. Would it be on MyProtein? Not MyProtein.
MyFitnessPal? No.
It's not?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you can Google GI index, and there's multiple, pictures on there with all of them in there, which will give you a rough idea. Because my father he's type 2 diabetic, and then he became type 1. So I was obviously looking into, I've known about the GI index for years, but I basically went and got him some tables for him to, so he could look, and I got, Dad, you're diabetic, focus more on eating these low GI foods, which are not going to give you an insulin spike. So you can understand, when you go to bed at night, you're fasting for 8-9 hours. So when you wake up in the morning, your blood sugars are rock bottom. So whatever you put in yourself, first thing, is massively important, because if you woke up and you had something that's low GI, it's going to keep your insulin down. Brilliant. It's going to sustain you over a couple of hours, like oats, even though we don't need carbs for breakfast. But then if you're going to have like a bowl of Frosties, you're going to get a massive insulin spike. Do you mean? So it's going to convert, your blood sugars, it is a fat storing hormone. This is what people don't realise. So, having multiple insulin spikes throughout the day is not good for you.
Yeah, because you're constantly, like you say, you're constantly up and down,
Getting highs and lows and troughs, and yeah.
And that's probably, I've always wondered that really, like you say, if you're having a chocolate or first thing in the morning and this and that, like, it's going to affect you long term without a doubt, and it's going to affect you on a short term basis, like you said, just from an energy standpoint as well. Because if you're crashing early in the afternoon because you ate something, or had loads of caffeine or sugar or chocolate or whatever it is first thing in the morning, you've got to try and you've either got to sustain it at that level, which is lower energy throughout the day. But if you're working, or you're maybe going to the gym after work and stuff like that, you want that extra energy to go.
Yeah, and this is why you tailor people's diets to their lifestyle and to their needs. I've got paramedics, I've got doctors, I've got footballers, I've got entrepreneurs, I've got businessmen, I've got a vast array of people who work night shifts, so you've got to tailor around their specific needs and their goals. So you want to be, using carbohydrates around a training window, because, at the end of the day, we don't need carbs for breakfast. That's just what's been installed in us for donkey's years, because they've pushed cereal onto us as kids and stuff like that. Carbs are the predominant fuel for the body. So if you wake up in the morning, you're not going to do anything. This is why rest day breakfast for all my clients will be high protein, moderate fats, very low carbs. If they're not training that day, they don't need carbs for breakfast. So obviously it's goal dependent, but again, this is a misconception that people need to realise. Meal timing is a myth. Your pre-workout meal doesn't fuel your workout. The reason why people put cereal and things like that pre-workout is because it's light, it's easily digested, it's digested fast. You don't want anything heavy sitting in your stomach when you go and run, train, work out. But it's the meals 3 hours before that's really fueling it. It takes about 3 maybe to 4.5 hours to digest a meal. So if you're training 5 p.m, it's what you're having midday really as fueling your workout, not the fucking muffin you're eating pre-workout. So it's that like.
So like on a general basis, so somebody who's not necessarily does a bit of training but they're not into the competitive element to it. We talked about the supplement side of it as well. So you've got this vitamin C, vitamin D, D3 and K2, B complex.
Depends where you want to go. Vitamin E, again, phenomenal for eye health, really good antioxidant, CQ10, heart health, supplementation. I could talk all day, but there's some things I think that everyone should take. Vitamin C, fights immunity, amazing for collagen regeneration for your skin. D3, K2, glutathione, cysteine, and then you can, then obviously zinc picolinate. Everyone, especially males, should be taking zinc. Phenomenal, not just for your libido, for testosterone, but for women, hair, skin, nails.
Magnesium I found incredible as well. So I was taking
depends what version.
Citrate I had.
No, magnesium citrate is really good for females with bowel issues. If they're bloated, what magnesium citrate does, it pulls water into the bowels. So it'll actually break down the stools and allow them to go to the toilet more frequently.
So magnesium
biclickinate.
Biclickinate
is the best. Like before I go to bed, roughly about an hour, firstly I'll put blue light blockers on, glasses. I'll wear them about 3 hours before bed, and then about an hour before I'd take magnesium biclickinate, vitamin B6, zinc picolinate, and then this is just me specific, boron. That's what my night stack is. But magnesium biclickinate, again, phenomenal for sleep.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The sleep was, whenever I was taking it, I was obviously taking the magnesium citrate, I was taking the powder form, but yeah, I'll have a look at that one then, because I've heard threonate is pretty good as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sleep, honestly, I've taken it 30 minutes before sleep, having a glass of milk in the powder, and completely knocking me out.
There's a product my sponsors do called Nero PM. So they do a Nero, which is for everyday use, and a Nero PM. It's the number one selling product. It's for cognitive function, Nero is. People who work in offices, businessmen. It's got lion's mane in there, which is a mushroom. They've got magnesium in there. They've got ashwagandha in there, so it kind of relaxes you, gives you cognitive function, makes you focus. The Nero PM, again, it's got a complete sleep stack in there. Take a scoop of that. It's like a mango flavour with some zinc pickle in it, or best sleep you'll have. They don't knock you out. They just promote a deep sleep, because you get different variations of sleep. You get rapid eye movement, and then you get deep orthodox. Deep orthodox is the deep sleep, and they reckon we get 4 20-minute spurts, growth spurts in deep orthodox throughout the night.
So, well, you mentioned about blue box blockers as well, and so like this is something that I do as well. I got these red light glasses in the house. I look, supposed to be seen in them. I look like a right div, but I found they were absolutely incredible, because they block out literally all light pretty much, well not all light, but most like the blue light and all that kind of stuff. I think it's up to 496 nanometers of light they block out. So, pardon me, when I look at like this screen here now, obviously it's blue as white, whatever. In the night, I've got that f.lux plug-in. So I don't know if you've seen that. If you've got laptops and stuff, you type in f.lux, it automatically changes your screen to go yellow and then orange as the night goes on once the sun's gone down, so reducing the blue light. I find that's already
you've got it on phones as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've got it on mine on the phone as well. But the red light, that's glasses. I find if I'm watching TV or I'm on the laptop or even on my phone, even though I've got those filters on, I could be there on the laptop, and I'm literally, after about half hour wearing those red light glasses, I'm gone. I'm out like a light. And the deep sleep quality is significantly better. So I monitored it on like that Whoop strap thing before, and I think when I was using a screen before bed, whether it was a phone or a laptop or a TV, my deep sleep quality was dropping by about 15%, and that's just what it was picking up on.
The blue light is the major one that affects the brain from releasing melatonin. So I bought them off Amazon, 19 quid, clear frames, clear lens. You can't even tell. You swear they're clear, but they actually give you a UV light with it as well. So you can, and it's all certified, the glasses are. So I bought it for me, my girlfriend, even my daughter. And if you go on the Joe Rogan podcast, there's a guy on there, he's the #1 brain expert in the world.
Right.
And they done studies, I think we'll go back 2 years ago, but basically just 30 minutes screen time, iPad, mobile, laptop, just 30 minutes, delays the brain from releasing melatonin for 3 hours.
Right, okay.
So you can imagine people in bed on their phone, it delays the release of melatonin for 3 hours, and that's clinically proven. So they took like all these people, and he was also saying that if you have less than 6 hours sleep a night, it brings mortality forward by 10 years. You're saying how everything, sleep affects everything. Recovery, growth, everything. If your sleep is out of whack, it literally, like I say, he said, it will literally bring mortality forward by 10 years. So that they took a bunch of people into, I think it was like into the desert, no lights, nothing, and they done a study on them, and their brains were releasing melatonin 2 hours earlier than what it normally would, just from the environment they were in, because there was nothing out there, it was just pitch black.
Well, anyone who goes camping, right? So like I've noticed this myself. Whenever you go camping, because there's no natural lights there, it's a very minimal natural light anyway, other than if you've got your phone and stuff like that. What I tend to find is that I will go to sleep much earlier, maybe even 10 o'clock, whereas usually I'm up till midnight or thereabouts. So I stay up much later usually. When I'm camping, I'm absolutely knackered, because like you said, there's not that light interaction there. And if there is light interaction, you've got a fire or something, it's like, it's a fire there, maybe a phone light or a torch, but the firelight, the light colour, the colours within the fire, they interact with the retina in your eye to almost sort of promote that onset of sleep. It's the same as a sunset, isn't it? They say if you watch a sunrise or a sunset, the colours within the light spectrum at those times of day they boost that sort of, I'm guessing they boost the melatonin production when you're, and also help you to fall asleep as well. So like, whenever I go camping, it knocks me clean out. The one thing I do say to people is if you can, like, it sounds fucking stupid, but candle gazing if you haven't got a fire in the house, or if you've got a fire, just sitting there a little bit before bed and just looking into it. And I find that, like, when I was doing the candle gazing again, so it probably looks fucking stupid, you sitting there just looking at a candle like that. But I was finding if I was doing it for a little bit, minimising all the other light that was in the environment entirely, doing that for a little bit, going to be to bed then. It was boosting my sleep.
Sleep routine is massive. Like, it should be in a pitch black room, pitch black, cold room. Always say, body temperature, room temperature, pitch black, blue light glasses. And like I say, you take the odd supplementation, and they just promote a deep sleep, a good sleep. But sleep is massive.
Stretching I found was really good as well before bed. So one thing I tend to do most nights now is not like a full-on yoga session, but I'll do a couple of deeper stretches, focus around the hips and stuff like that. It tends to be tighter in blokes, I think, anyway. And I'll do like a couple of stretches, do a lot of nasal breathing while I'm doing it, and then go into a sit down after it, maybe a 5-minute meditation, just sitting there, eyes closed and focusing on the breath. But the stretching in particular, I found, because you're increasing the blood flow and you're loosening or any sort of tension that you've got. And like when you go to sleep, then you're already really relaxed, from a physical standpoint. So like I was saying to somebody the other day, when you get that
even a shower before bed because of the vasodilation, throughout the body, even that hot shower, and then obviously a cold room is again that's really, really good. But sleep is so important. People don't realise, and it's mad because before this happened to me, running business and being kind of it is a very stressful job and dealing with so many different people from so many different diverse areas. I was averaging like 5.5 hours sleep. Now it's 8 hours. So my sleep is even better, my sleep's better, my blood pressure's better, everything is better. So it's come full circle. And it's a phenomenal supplement that my sponsors do. And I know I say that about a lot of supplements, but Rick from Strong, he really is. His formalizations are better than anything. He's got one called Systol Max, which promotes healthy blood pressure. And when I say the phenomenal supplements, a lot of them backed by clinical studies. Lipid Max is backed via blood work for driving down LDL, increasing HDL. Systol Max is backed by the blood lab. My favourite supplement, I take it every morning. It's got beta vulgaris, which is beetroot, natural vascular data, so it increases just healthy blood flow. So there's so much information out there now for people to be a bit more savvy with their lifestyle, and it's
like you said, it's that information. That's what's good about what we kind of do with it as coaches. Essentially is giving that sort of information.
And what people don't realise is, especially females, it's crazy because instead of doing endless amounts of cardio every single week, umpteen classes, then going on the weekend having a binge, and then eating yourself on a Sunday or a Monday again, and doing that that whole rat race over and over and over. People don't realise, when you get in shape, it isn't just for vanity. It helps you in so many different other avenues. From a health standpoint, you look good, but not just that, you can get away with eating shit. If I went into McDonald's or a Burger King, it wouldn't touch me, because when you have got more muscle mass, when you've got a higher muscle to fat ratio, you're much better metabolically at fat burning, because your output, your need is so much higher. So when girls, when you change your physiology and I'm not talking about girls getting muscular, but just being toned, and that's why a lot of my girls, I put on high protein diets to encourage muscle growth and getting in shape. You aren't going to have a cheat meal on the weekend then, and then you're hating yourself then the Sunday morning you wake up and the scales are higher. I can eat a Burger King now and it wouldn't touch me, or I eat a Burger King but I know I can go to the gym and utilise those calories. You know what I mean? So the gym isn't just for vanity reasons. It's an outlet, for stress and for multiple things. But looking after yourself, getting in shape, it isn't just about what you look like naked or walking on the beach in the summer. I just think it's crazy. I think why wouldn't you want to be the healthiest, best looking version of yourself? I mean, and that's why I find that's why I try and push on to my clients. I mean, everyone's got their own kind of goals, whether it's, I've had clients, bring down their BMI because they have to have IVF, to have kids and stuff like that, and because they won't give them IVF unless the weight comes down. I've had paramedics who, need to get in shape, and it's crazy. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's I think you should always, especially in this day and age. Look, we went through the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That we're going to get another kind of COVID, absolutely. And I think, I know healthy people that died from it. And I'm not going to get into the whole, vaccination kind of stuff, but it's going to happen again in our lifetime.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And that's what they say. It's kind of been it's a bit of a trial run almost, isn't it? To be honest, actually.
It's a wake-up call. It is. I know healthy people. I know at least 2 that died from it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, sad, very, very sad. And you've got to be careful what you say about it because, regardless what your views are on it, you can't go saying stuff like that when, people who actually lost loved ones through it,
Yeah, it's touchy.
I don't agree with a lot of things the government done, but, each to their own. I'm double vaccinated, so, but I drew the line there. They said get double vaccinated, I got double vaccinated, and they said on boosters, no chance, I mean, so, but then the boost only lasted 10 weeks, so I'm going to just keep on boosting me every 10 weeks? No way, I mean, and I run my blood work, so, your white cell count is how your body fights infections. You're genetically born with your white cells. So, even before and after the vaccination, my white cells never decreased or anything like that. So, yeah, crazy world.
So, I mean, one thing I'd say is like with, just before we kind of wrap things up now, with, so in training, and diet and all the different stuff we've talked about, so like when somebody wants to get started or if they're already actually going there and training, the hardest thing I think for a lot of people is the consistency, keeping it up.
That is, I say it all the time, that word applies to everything in life. If you're consistent with your sleep, you're going to have good sleep. If you're consistent with business, if you're consistent with your relationship, if you're consistent with anything in life, it will always bring results. People, it's like when I see clients in comp prep, and let me just say, the majority of my clients are lifestyle clients. Yeah. Now, even though I've got a competitive background, the majority of all my clients are just lifestyle clients. A lot of people undo a lot of the hard work they do through the week on the weekend. If you're strict Monday to Friday, I factor in off-plan meals for the clients, things like that. But you can go out and have a day on the piss. You can consume thousands of calories through alcohol because it's just empty calories. Yeah. What I mean by empty is there's no protein, fats, or carbs. So you were just consuming calories. So to be in a calorie deficit, to lose 1 pound of fat a week, you have to burn 3,500 calories a week. So you have to be in a 500 calorie deficit a day.
Every day,
to burn 3,500 calories a week to burn 1 pound of fat. So you could be in a 500 calorie deficit Monday to Friday, right? And then Saturday, Sunday, you could consume 3,000-4,000 calories eating shit on the drink. So you've just gone and done all that work. So, and this is why when you're in prep, in comp prep or whatever, these people have got a goal. They know they're going to get on stage. They know they can't eat off plan because it's detrimental. They could lose a placing. They could lose, it might be winning or losing a show. So when you eat the body loves routine. The body loves structure. The body loves consistency. When you eat the same things day in, day out, the body starts getting into a pattern. So when you manipulate the meals then and drop calories, it'll transition to the physique. If you're yo-yoing every single day, your weight's going to yo-yo, your physique is going to yo-yo. Do you mean? So you need, you've got to get in a set pattern, so.
And what would you say is like one of the most important things for somebody to try and, or like, how does one stay consistent? What's the, what do you do? Would you kind of like monitor things? Do you have anything?
Obviously I've got my own app as well, so I've got a Team Granite Fitness app for my clients, so they've got their own portal, they've got an exercise library on there, they can pull up workouts. Their training plans are on there, their diets are on there, there's a messaging platform on there, they check in via that app, so there's a specific form that I check, their menstrual cycle, I check, I track their weight, their measurements. Scales, women are obsessed with weighing. If you're going to weigh, weigh every day and take an average over the week. Because what happens if you check in is on a Saturday and you need to weigh Saturday morning, and then Friday you had a monster leg workout? You're going to hold water, inflammation from that workout.
Then as a,
you know, there's so many things that affect scale weight: cortisol, stress, hydration, food in your bowels. You've done 5 litres of water this day and 6 litres of water that day, you're going to be heavier. You know, if you went to the toilet 3 times and then 2 times, you're going to have more food in your bowels. So the scales is not a viable tool for progress. They ain't. It's one variable, but I track measurements as well. So if you get in the scale and you're like, hang on, my weight's exactly the same, but I've lost half an inch off my waist, who cares what the scale says? Because your limbs are shrinking, who gives a shit? Because your body also can pull water intracellular, which is into the cell, so your physiology can change, we can weigh the same. So that can happen as well. What happens if you burn 1 pound of fat but built 1 pound of muscle? Scale says nothing's happened. But it clearly has.
That's it. It's like you said. I think it's having an understanding, because a lot of people, they just go based on that, and it does. You know, it can be off-putting and knock you off track, isn't it? So I mean, so is he monitoring and the accountability type stuff in terms of being consistent?
It's taking the guesswork out. That's where a coach comes into it. Accountability, educating you, depending on what coach they are. You know, and taking the guesswork and the support as well. I mean, I can't speak for all coaches, but I know most of my clients have been with me 2-3 years. That speaks volumes. I mean, so I know I give a shit, and I really do. And like, you know, running blood work, running intolerance tests, sensitivity tests. You know, I've been on the phone 10 o'clock at night, and again, I don't get paid enough for this. I'm a fucking therapist, but I will. And that's males and females going through breakups, going through divorces, having meltdowns. I mean, I've been on holidays and I take my laptop away with me, and I do switch off, but that's just me as a person. If I can help anyone, I will go above and beyond. Like,
and I think that's the key thing there. Is like it's the why, isn't it? It's the having a strong why at the forefront of what you're doing, and I think that helps you probably be consistent then with things. I think if you're trying to do the wrong things, then it's going to make it harder for you to start and for you to keep on with it. So it's got to be something that's important to you. You know?
Losing weight isn't hard. Getting in shape isn't hard. You know, everything takes effort in life. Everything. If it was easy, everyone would be walking around like fucking models. Do you mean? And I always say this: you can buy nice cars, you can buy nice clothes, you can't buy a physique. That is earned. I'll give my respect to anyone who I see in shape. Do you mean? Because I know at the end of the day, whether they're drug free or taking performance enhancing drugs, everything takes effort. Do you mean? And it's, you know, I'll always tip my hat to anyone that's in shape. You know, like I said, I've always walked my own path, and I've always wanted to be a better version of me. Social media, the 99% of the things you see on Instagram is all fake. Do you mean? Just I want to be the best version of Neil. I never want to look like James or John or whatever. Do you mean? And you know, that's where the mindset I've always had, and people should do that. Do you mean? Be the best version of you. Never look at anyone, because you don't know what they're doing, you don't know what lifestyle they've got, you don't know, what the parameters are with their dietary or their drug intake or anything. So, you know, that's where I think that's where I kind of educate my clients in the mindset to have.
Yeah, I like that. Focus on you first and you alone, and then I think that just to end it on as well.
Be nice. Do you mean, you know, be nice, like somebody's bloody picture, you know, comment on somebody's post. You don't know if somebody's having a bad day, you know, and I just think, you know, this day and age, and coaching isn't all it is made up to be. You know, I've coached people to win shows, and they've gone on Instagram, taken a picture with their partner with a trophy, never even thanked me. Do you mean? I'm thinking, oh no, I've just babysat you for the last 5 months. It's giving back and just being like. But you know, that's on them. Like, I mean, I don't need praise. I know what I do. You know, but again, it is a double-edged sword, and people pay you and they think they can speak to you any way they want, and I've always got to be, you know, respectable. I've always got to, I think it's with a coach, even though I might be, you know, I can suffer more than everyone else. I've got to take myself out of my comfort zone and have empathy with them, because not everyone's like me. Not everyone's had the competitive past that I've had, so I've got to put myself in their shoes. So I've got to try and motivate them. Come on now, do you mean? And my clients will tell you themselves, like, so you can't just suck it up. If I said that to all my clients, suck it up, because I've been on 0 carbs and 0 fats for 6 weeks in my past. you can't expect them to be like that.
Yeah, everybody's mind works different than they.
Exactly. You know?
No, like I said, there's a lot of fucking information in there for people. That's going to be, I can imagine.
Yeah, we could do multiple
people,
podcasts, but multiple things. It's nutrition, you could talk all day long, like, you know, on specific topics, and that's why I get so many questions every day. It's not, you know, it's lovely. I reply to every single person who inbox me.
Yeah.
You know, I get a lot of traffic, and
well, on that note, actually, how do people get in touch with you? So your Instagram is Neil Arms, isn't it?
Neil Arms with a double S on the end.
Double S on the end. Like sponsors as well, so strong.
Yeah,
strong nutrition.
strong sports nutrition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. You know, one of the best in the UK, and that's not just because I was a customer before as an athlete.
Yeah.
And that's
always the best.
That's why they kind of took me on as well. You know, the formalizations are the best ingredient profile. Rick is just doing things. The joint product is the best on the market. It's got, you know, hydrocurc, which is a liquid curcumin, which is phenomenal for anti-inflammatory properties. You know, best joint product on the market, best creatine. You know, Velocity is best. You know, the best whey. You know, his formalizations and his things just doing different than everyone else. You know, they are incredible. Like.
And if somebody wants to obviously get in touch with you, like for the Team Granite Fitness, is it a website? Is it?
Yeah, they can DM me on my socials.
Yeah. Or
they can email me at info@teamgranitefitness.com.
Awesome, cool. Thank you very much for that. Very much appreciated. Obviously, if anyone's listening or watching, get in touch. Drop you a message or an email or whatever.
Any advice? Anyone got anything? You know, I don't charge doing. People ask me advice every single day, so if I can help somebody and give them a little bit of feedback and give them a little bit of advice, just DM me, guys. Like.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Right then. I was busted from you then. That's why I was like, I didn't want to keep it going there, but I was like,